I'm standing along the banks of the beautiful Tar River in the heart of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Behind me is the Rocky Mount Mills, which in 2014 was purchased by a capital venture group and turned into a shopping area with restaurants, more than one brewery, shops, bed and breakfast you can stay at, and all sorts of recreational activities for the local community and tourists alike. However, the story of Rocky Mount Mills starts nearly 200 years before that. Established in 1818, Rocky Mount Mills is the second oldest cotton mill in the state of North Carolina. It is also the first recorded use of slave labor in a cotton mill in North Carolina. Colonel Joel Battle and Henry Donaldson founded the Rocky Mount Mills here on the Tar River. The mills had over 2,000 spindles and a working force of almost entirely black people. The majority were slaves, but there were some free people working here as well. Black people were used continuously for the mills by these people for 34 years. In 1825, Donaldson built a new mill in Fayetteville, roughly the size of the one here in Rocky Mount, and the mill in Fayetteville used only slaves, as he believed they were much easier to control than free men. Back in these days, the people in the upland South, North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, dressed mostly in clothes made of local manufacture. By the 1850s, this mill sold yarn, coarse yarn that they produced here, in 5-pound bundles for the what was called country trade. This was yarn that was going to be woven by country women on hand looms. The surplus yarns were sold up to the Philadelphia and New York markets for the spinning mills up there to make coarse cloth, including sacks and aprons and other rough trade items. The Confederacy, when they broke away from the Union, sourced nearly all of their textile goods from this mill and its sister mill down in Fayetteville. Realizing the importance of these mills to the Confederate war effort, General William T. Sherman and the Union troops laid waste to most of eastern North Carolina's manufacturing base by burning the Rocky Mount Mill on the Tar River, as well as the Great Falls Mill in Rockingham and 5 of the 6 mills in the Fayetteville vicinity. This mill was burned on July 20th, 1863 by Union General George Stoneman's New York cavalry. Stoneman's cavalry burnt over 1,700 bales of cotton that were stored here and set fire to the mill, which was very quickly rebuilt and actually remained in business until 1996. Although at that time, presumably without the benefit of the slave labor that they had originally built it on. At least I hope so. After the Civil War, the rebuilt Rocky Mount Mills grew and expanded and industrialized, and along with the rest of the South, the industry experienced a large growth of cotton production. The company at this time expanded, building buildings like this powerhouse behind me. It also supported a residential village for employees, which was eventually incorporated into the city of Rocky Mount in the 1920s. During World War II, Rocky Mount Mills was a major supplier of cotton yarn to the United States Army. The mills and surrounding mill village continued, suffering general decline through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And by the time the mill finally did close its doors in 1996, it was the oldest remaining Southern textile company. So as I mentioned, it was purchased actually in 2007 by Capital Broadcasting Company, and in 2014 they started redeveloping this. This is the same company, if any of you know North Carolina, who developed the American Tobacco Campus in downtown Durham, North Carolina. I will say they do a beautiful job here. The campus, the old brick, absolutely stunning. You can see one of the old main houses here. We'll actually take a look at a couple of the mill houses in a minute, a little later in the video. Here's one of the old mill machines sitting out for you to enjoy. You can imagine spinning on this loom inside. Just don't prick your finger or else you fall asleep. At least that's how the story goes. Moving over here, I see beer barrels. We're going to check that out. And in fact, I seem to have happened upon the glass jug beer lab. Very nice, very modern brewing facility with a automatic kegerator and all, right here in a very old building. At the front end of the brewery, you may notice that there is a adjacent brewery right over here called Hopfly. And across the porch is Goat Island with Koi Pond right next door. Definitely a lot of craft brewing in this area. Very strong market for it. Unfortunately, that's going to have to wait. It's about noon now, and this brewery doesn't open till 4. However, we can take a quick look inside. It looks lovely. This is the old 1901 shipping facility that they are located in. You can see the water tower here, which is festooned with labels of the local beer companies here. I see the glass jug that we just looked inside. Barrel Culture, Mythic Brewing. What else do we have? Hopfly Brewing, Barrel Culture, the Bull Durham Beer Company. Coming around to this side, you can see Tarboro Brewing, Planetary Elixirs, Koi Pond up there at the top. Somebody I can't read because their sign sadly is ripped. Crystal Coast Brewing, Harlem Brewing. Definitely a awesome selection of craft beers just within a small radius of the very point I'm standing. All the restaurants, for example Jack's here, are located in the old houses. This is an old foreman's house, I'm assuming. It's quite nice, with a gorgeous manicured lawn next to the other giant house we saw earlier and right across from the mills. Definitely not the mill workers' quarters by any stretch. Not to mention, definitely not the slave quarters. And there goes some freshly brewed Rocky Mount beer, off to thirsty customers everywhere. While down here closer, we have yet another milling machine. This one's bigger than the other one we saw. Don't know what everything on there does, but I can see where the thread would be spooled and the wheels turned and pedals, and it's a pretty cool piece of old industrial age machinery, that's for sure. Heading down here, there's a really heavily eroded, interesting bit of brick floor here. Not sure what could have caused that to happen. And then up here, a octagon-shaped sitting area with a nice throne-like perch above everything. Heading over here, let's cross over this and take a look inside. So, obviously, the inside has been redone. Just walked past a really nice looking barber shop, but the floors and the columns are clearly the original. I mean, look at that construction. And then all through the roof area here and the open central area with some offices. Down below, some beer barrels. I love the combination of the classic industrial age building with the modern walls and windows and HVAC system. Not gonna lie, it's hot down here. That's a very nice thing to have. Here's an old table of some kind. I don't know if it's a carding table or what they did with it, but now you can dine there. It looks like we can go up, and I never pass up an opportunity to go up when possible. Must be the goat in me. Have to see what's up the hill. The old skylights are really awesome. You can see they have modern fittings on them, but the roof line and the skylights, that would have been all the light and cooling you would have had once upon a time in here. I can't get over these poles. Just so heavily worn, especially down at the bottom. As you get up, they're a little cleaner, but the bottom definitely shows the wear and tear of just literally centuries of machinery and workers. The cotton industry that built the South, which quite literally started in this place. The support beams are massive. It's hard to show. Here's my hand for comparison. You can see it is just a huge beam. They're all that size. And just locked into iron casements here. It's not going anywhere. This place is closed right now, but it's called Pinspirations. Creations and Libations. Sounds like you can have a drink and make some crafts with your friends. That sounds like a lot of fun. Bet this place is just absolutely hopping on a weekend. Definitely worth checking out if you're in the area. This looks like it would be really fun. The old water divertment for the mill, still standing. I believe this part back here has been converted into office suites, so looks like they're all divided up and we probably cannot go inside. But you can see the sign on it. This is a slightly newer building, 1892, Rocky Mount Mills number 3. Heading down to the old mill now, with the bell tower up here. Bell still in place. That'd be neat to hear that, wouldn't it? I'm gonna eat at the Prime Smokehouse today. Beautiful. Coming outside, the patio, you can sit out here and eat with your dogs as they're doing and enjoy a view of the Tar River and some giant scale carting equipment and probably shipping, maybe bale lifting equipment. I don't know much about the cotton industry, to be honest with you, but truly a beautiful place to sit and enjoy a good meal, which is what I am about to do.
Thank you.
I noticed there's a set over here for live music. Apparently they have jazz here on the weekends, which is appropriate for the town where both Nina Simone and Thelonious Monk were born. But to more pressing matters, my food has arrived. Carolina-style barbecue, seasoned fries, coleslaw, and sweet tea. and I can confirm that that sweet tea is sweet. It's like the consistency of motor oil. It tastes like you're drinking syrup. That's fabulous. There's no real easy way to show the sandwich, but you know. Just like I remember. Fabulous. For people not in the know, the big difference in Carolina barbecue is it's not shredded or pulled like Texas or Memphis style. It's chopped, so it's very, very fine, almost minced. And then the sauce is mixed in. Absolutely fabulous. And a little easier to eat than the wet style stuff that you get in other places. Definitely worth a stop. There's a reason Carolina is famous for its barbecue. Now I'm going to eat, so I'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. Just like the rest of the meal, you can see the old, heavily worn poles in this very, very nice contemporary restaurant. With great food and great music. A whole stage set for jazz. Something they do live on the weekends here. If you're in town, definitely worth stopping by. Off to the side of the building, I found this array of delinquent newspaper boxes, which humorously chart the rising price in the newspaper from 75 cents to $1.50 to $2 plus 3 on Sunday. Here's their friend, the Tarboro Weekly, which is still available for a very reasonably priced 50 cents per copy. $2 a day for the Rocky Mount Telegram. No wonder no one is buying it anymore. Wow. Not sure if this is how the mill buildings looked after the 1863 burning by Stoneman's cavalry, but I imagine it's pretty similar to how some of them looked by the early 2000s when this property was purchased. It shows you just how much work and effort and love has gone into making this into a really, really nice facility now, when this is what you have to work with to start. They even have a nice little amphitheater in the woods here. And this is actually the Battle House from 1819. This is the house that the mill owner and slave owner owned. So your classic North Carolina plantation house with the portico and columns and the second floor porch. They lived in a lot of splendor, overlooking the mills where the slaves worked unpaid for their entire life. Long hours, no weekends. So really, people who lived in this house were kind of assholes. Not gonna lie. But when visiting assholes, you can't have crap on your shoes, so there is a boot scraper right before you ascend the staircase onto the grand porch. I realized from the sign up here this house is from 1835, so it is still antebellum, but not whatever year I said it was earlier. I could edit that out. Probably won't. I know they don't own it anymore, but I don't feel too much shame in cutting across their nicely, neatly manicured lawn. Not all of the old mill worker houses have been restored. This one obviously has not been, although most of them, to be fair, do look really, really lovely. Here's a street of old mill houses. You can see they're very nicely restored, kept up. Definitely small, but beautiful. Most of these dating back to the second half of the 1800s. And many of them retaining a lot of their charm of that era. Look at those rocking porches in the front porch there. I mean, it has a hard history, but it has been turned into a very lovely neighborhood. Tight little bungalow houses, well maintained. I love the rocking chairs on the front porch. One more thing that Rocky Mount Mills has done is to create this tiny home community. You can see the fire pits out in front of a little cluster of tiny homes here. And some more over on this side with another little fire pit. Some hammocks set up right along the Tar River. Including this charming one called the Eno, which I have rented for the night. I'll give you a quick tour. Come up on the deck here. And excuse the mess, I've put my stuff in here, but you walk in and there's a futon which leads into a dining area or a leave your stuff area with a nice galley kitchen, coffee maker, nice little bathroom. There's the shower, way up high. I like that. And heading back out, you can see ceiling fan, windows all around, across from the futon, a nice television that gets all the streaming channels, gotta say. And then the very narrow staircase with a very low roof. This is a tiny house. After all, when you come up here, there's the bedroom. It is a definitely a queen-sized bed. It was very, very comfortable, and I love the cut-down installed nightstands there. Plus, the view from the loft is kind of cool. You can see all the way down. It's genuinely a charming place to stay, and I've never been in a tiny home before, so this was a first for me. It's kind of neat to get to show it off. There's obviously not a lot to it in terms of size, but there's a lot to it in terms of thought put into the design. These things are very compact but very efficiently designed, and just really it has been a blast to stay here. And if I come back to town here again, I'll definitely stay here. The place is called River and Twine. That's the tiny house community, and I'll put a link to their info below. But they are awesome. They are so nice to deal with. I love them. They're not paying me to say that. I mean, if they want to, they could, but they're not. The tiny home experience is really cool, though. I'm actually pretty excited that I got to do it. One more thing that the Rocky Mount Mills has is they've recently put in a tiny home community. You can see the grouping of tiny homes here with a little fire pit and picnic table out front. And this area is called River and Twine, as an homage to the Tar River that flows right behind where I'm standing, and of course the twine that was produced here. There's quite a few tiny homes over here, and many of them are actually for rent. Some more tiny homes over here with a small fire pit. Actually, quite a nice fire pit. And the Tar River right behind. Some hammocks to enjoy the late summer breezes. Thank you all for joining me once again. I had a really fun time filming this video at Rocky Mount Mills, a place I'd never been before. If you guys are ever going to be in Eastern North Carolina, please do yourself a favor, stop in and get yourself a bite to eat or a delicious brew from one of the dozen craft breweries that are in that town. It's friggin' beer lover's paradise, absolutely. And if you do get to go there, or if you've been there before, send me a message, let me know. I really love to hear from you guys and let you share your experiences with me, and we can talk back and forth, whatever. Next video after this, I am going to be somewhere really interesting, somewhere I have never been before, and somewhere I think a lot of you have never been before. So, take your guesses and wait for me to put up some videos. In the meantime, like this if you like it. If you liked it, like it. You know how that goes. And if you want to see my upcoming video to an exciting, unnamed as of yet place, subscribe, and YouTube will tell you the next time I post a video. See? Makes it super easy for you. Hey, thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you watching my videos. It means a lot to me. And catch you on the next one. Some wildlife along the Tar River here. A group of fairly large turtles sunning themselves on this warm late summer day.